Are you curious about what it might be like to live in a suburb just outside of Denver, Colorado, and you're considering the area of Highlands Ranch? Well, stick around because I'm going to unpack some of that coming up next. Welcome to the channel, everyone. If this is your first time here, my name is Bill Knapp. I'm a local residential realtor servicing the South Metro Denver area. And today I'm going to go into some pros and some cons about what it's like living in Highlands Ranch, Colorado. So let's start with the first pro about living in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, which has to be its location. Located just south of Denver metro area by about 15 miles or so, it has quick access to highways. You're about 45 minutes out to Denver International Airport, roughly about 35 minutes or so to Red Rocks. You're maybe an hour-ish or so from Colorado Springs, and if you're trying to get to CU Boulder, you're roughly about 45 to 50 minutes. And if you're going off for a day trip or you're looking to go skiing or snowboarding, the closest ski area is going to be Loveland Ski Area, and you're about 60 minutes or so. And then you can get a little further. Keystone's maybe about an hour and 15, and Breckenridge is about an hour and a half. And some other good bits about its location is if you're a resident, depending if you're on the east side or west side of Highlands Ranch, you're very close to a lot of state parks and nature trails, open space, so you really get that Colorado vibe. Plus, we are up on a bit of a topography bump, so the Colorado sunsets are kind of dynamic, and it's sort of where you see people going out to places like Daniels Gate Park to go and have like a bottle of wine and a picnic or hang out as they watch everything set over those Rocky Mountains. The second pro about living in Highlands Ranch, Colorado is actually the community itself. Highlands Ranch is a master planned area of about 110,000 residents spread across 3 zip codes. Some of the things I really like about the community include our open air amphitheater that we have at Heritage Park with free concerts in the summers on Thursdays. We have an excellent farmers market at the Highlands Ranch Town Center roughly every Sunday or so throughout the summer. We have community events throughout the year which involve stuff like St. Patrick's Day, Oktoberfest, things for the different holidays, New Year's, parades, fireworks. It's just a really great kind of that Americana feel to it. And because it's so well laid out and the master planning is done pretty nicely, the traffic here really isn't that bad. We have some major roads that do back up a little bit here and there, but only during the busy times of the day. So in regards to getting from point A to point B, it doesn't take very long at all. In addition to the community events, we also have a really robust program of sports for not only adults, but also for kids. And this includes recreational sports, competitive sports. So if you want to go out to the bluffs and do trail running, you have that option, or the east-west trailhead. We have archery ranges, mountain bike trails. A lot of people do competitive soccer, lacrosse, baseball, football, wrestling, tennis, and everything is accessible through our Highlands Ranch Community Association websites and our town centers. The third pro about living in Highlands Ranch, Colorado has to be our school system. Our schools feed into the Douglas County School District, which is arguably, subjectively, the second best school district in the entire state. We have 4 primary public schools that kids go to for high school here, being Thunder Ridge, Mountain Vista, Rock Canyon, and Highlands Ranch High School. We also have Valor Christian High School and several other STEM and magnet and charter schools that kids can go to. So there is a fit and feel for just about any kiddo there based on their subject interests or their sports interests. Pros aside, let's jump into a few of the things that aren't so great about Highlands Ranch. And the first is the name or the stigma for Highlands Ranch being master planned, where they call this area the bubble because it basically has everything you might need or could possibly want conveniently close to wherever you live within the actual neighborhood, so there's really not a reason to leave. That also being said, a lot of the homes tend to look the same. We have a lot of the same street names also, and the uniformity of the neighborhoods gives it a very clean, like Desperate Housewives, Wisteria Lane kind of feel through some of the areas. So if you're looking for diversity of housing style, you may not find that here in Highlands Ranch. The second con about living in Highlands Ranch, we have a master planned HOA, being the Highlands Ranch Community Association. It is an all-encompassing governing HOA that covers the entirety of Highlands Ranch. In addition to that, depending on which neighborhood you live in inside the ranch, you may have a second and possibly a third HOA. So if you're on the east side of town and you're living in Palomino Park, you have the master plan community HOA, plus you have a secondary one for Palomino Park by itself. If you move yourself into 80126 into the really desirable community of Backcountry, I believe you have not only one HOA for Highlands Ranch, you have 2 different HOAs to live in Backcountry, which which adds up and puts more money into what you have to pay for your monthly mortgage. The good thing about having an HOA is it does pay for a lot of the amenities, including the rec centers that we have in Highlands Ranch. It pays for the median upkeep of all of our roads, our streets, all of the landscaping. So when you come into this community, you get that sense of just feeling comfortable, and most people see themselves living here. Last thing I'll say about the HOAs is they are a bit of a governing body, and they do dictate about what you can or can't do with some of your landscaping or your housing colors, but they also do keep the value of your home up, so it's a bit of a silver lining. And the final con that I have for Highlands Ranch would have to be what I consider to be a lack of diversity in the commercial developments and the restaurant dining scene that we have here. It's also not a place where you're going to find a ton of nightlife. Most everything closes down around 11 or 12 o'clock. Now we have a bit more diversity, and we're seeing a bit more as far as restaurants and offerings. Some of my ones that my insider quick tips that I kind of like is a new place called Costino that just opened up in an area called Central Park on the north side of Highlands Ranch, just across from Children's Hospital. It's a wine bar, kind of cafe style, has a really good menu, great wines, excellent happy hour. We have a new place called Toastique, which is a gourmet toast and juice bar. If you move over to the east side of town, you'll have good opportunities with like Brothers Bar and Grill. But outside of that, there's not a lot to do inside of Highlands Ranch. And that wraps this one up. So thank you so much for sticking around all the way to the end. If you're finding this helpful or informational, do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me out with the YouTube and social channel algorithms. If I didn't cover something that you would like me to cover, leave me a comment or just let me know what you're thinking based on what you saw. I do read those comments. I do respond to the calls, the texts, the emails that come in. It's kind of one of my favorite things. So reach out. I'll be happy to chat with you. Whether you want to work together or you just have a question, I appreciate your interaction on the channel. And that concludes this video. So I appreciate you sticking around to the end. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.